Brother and lads, welcome back to Cossy Podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to brand a new video. It's a beautiful Sunday. We're going to be diving into the latest around us, the Moises Caicedo, Romeo Lavia, and the backup for Thomas Partey. We're going to be talking about Partey's potential stay at Arsenal because he's taken to his Instagram and he said I'm going to miss seeing you, Xhaka, around. So it means Thomas Partey could actually likely stay at Arsenal Football Club, but if he leaves, Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia are the two players that Arsenal are looking at to replace him, according to Jacob Steinberg in The Guardian. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Caicedo is back on, so we could still have the possibility to see Rice and Caicedo at Arsenal, but I think this one will depend a lot on sell. So, the better we sell, the more likely the chances that we could see Moises Caicedo at Arsenal. Now, we're going to be diving into the story, going to be diving into what's happening around Moises Caicedo, not in particular Arsenal, but what's happening around the deal. And I think it's one of those ones where it's going to drag on. And I said this in June, that it will drag on probably and potentially until the end of July. Okay, let's get this video to 500 likes. Now let's start off with Thomas Partey. Partey has taken to his Instagram and he has posted a farewell message to Granit Xhaka. But what he's posted actually is quite very interesting, because he has said I'm going to miss you around. I'm going to miss seeing you around, Granit Xhaka, so farewell. Now it's a message that really communicates a lot, in my opinion. And we're gonna have a look at it here, right on my WhatsApp. I've been looking at it here on my WhatsApp. There you go. So Thomas Partey on Instagram saying, "I'm going to miss seeing you around, brother." That is him talking to Granit Xhaka. Now, what I understand is that Thomas Partey requested Arsenal to leave this summer. He told the club that it would be okay if you guys let me go in this summer. Now, according to Charles Watts, that information is very wide off the mark. Charles Watts says that Thomas Partey arrived at Arsenal as one of the people, as one of the players that wanted to see Arsenal great again, that as one of the players that believed in the project that Arsenal would be great again, and he wanted us to go back to the UEFA Champions League. And now that we are back in the UCL, he wants to represent Arsenal on the biggest stage in the UCL. So there is a lot of contradicting information when it comes to Thomas Partey. Some sources saying that he has received a mega offer from Saudi Arabia, an offer that he wouldn't turn down. Some sources saying that he doesn't want to go to Saudi. He wants to go to Juve. He wants to stay in Europe. At least Monaco or Juve would be one of the preferred destination, but at least Juve is the priority. So there is a lot going on with Thomas Partey. But this message to Granit Xhaka speaks something very different, because when he says I'm going to miss seeing you around, brother, it means Thomas Partey sees himself as a player who's gonna stay at Arsenal. It means Partey sees himself as a player who will be part of this squad in the coming years. Now, if Partey sees himself as a player who's gonna stay, if he sees himself as an Arsenal, as a future Arsenal player, there are two questions. One, why haven't we made negotiations or started negotiations to renew his deal? And number two, if he's going to stay and really going to stay, is he going to be on the bench, or is he going to play in that right back position while Declan Rice plays at CDM? So there are so many questions there. We are going to do videos about how Arsenal could line up with Partey and Rice, because that is now a new possibility. I was actually not talking about Thomas Partey anymore on this channel, because he's one of those players that I thought were eventually going to leave. But when he posts something like, "I'm going to miss seeing you around," it means that Partey could be staying at Arsenal despite the fact that Xhaka has gone. And for me, it will be the right decision. It will be a wonderful decision for Partey to stay. I think it's one of those where you don't want to lose both of your midfield maestros. Xhaka maybe has not been the best of midfielders through the 7 years at Arsenal, but Thomas Partey has been that good. So if you keep Thomas Partey and you add Declan Rice, I think that is quality through the roof. And I don't think we can ever question the ambitions of the club. So Thomas Partey, there is a likelihood to stay. However, if Partey does not stay, according to Jacob Steinberg from The Guardian, it looks like Moises Caicedo is still a player of interest to Arsenal, and they will try to sign him if Thomas Partey departs. Now, Arsenal have asked to be kept in the loop. They've asked to be kept informed about Thomas Partey's situation, Moises Caicedo's situation in this summer. Now, this one is another difficult one and very confusing deal, just like the Thomas Partey deal. Why it is difficult and why it is very confusing. Number one, Moises Caicedo will cost over 100 million this summer. Now, I don't think it will cost 100 million, but that is what Brighton is saying. That if anyone wants to sign Moises Caicedo, they will have to come and pay 100 million for the player. Now, it comes from the fact that Brighton look at are looking at Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham, and they're saying if these two highly quality and highly rated midfielders are going for the fees upwards of 100 million euros, then Moises Caicedo, who they think is in that bracket of players, should also be going for 100 million as well. So Chelsea are in the middle of negotiations. They are in the heart of this deal. It's either they sign him or they lose him. I think it's a deal that is Chelsea's to lose at the moment. I don't think Arsenal are front runners anymore. I think Chelsea are in the run. They're leading they're in the driving seat for this deal. But let's start off from the beginning. Arsenal, according to Kaya Kainak and a few journalists, including Fabrizio Romano, they reported way back in June, actually May, that Arsenal were eyeing Declan Rice, and they were also keeping tabs on Moises Caicedo. Kaya Kainak went on to say that he has heard rumors and he has heard whispers from the club that the plan was to sign both of them and not either or, right? So if the plan was to sign two of them, and we wanted to sign Caicedo, and we wanted to sign Rice as well, and Caicedo is still on the market, it only makes sense for The Guardian to come out and say Arsenal are still really interested in signing Moises Caicedo and anything could happen. Okay, so if we want to sign both of them, it means that we would have to spend over 200 million on our midfield. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the feeling around Arsenal was earlier on in the window, probably May, probably early June, is that the feeling was we could sign Declan Rice for less than 100 million, and we could also sign Moises Caicedo for less than 70 or less than 80 million. So when you do the maths, 90 million for Declan Rice and 70 million for Moises Caicedo, potentially 60 million because it would have been in euros. Arsenal could have spent a total of 150 million on those two. That is pretty much understandable in my opinion, and that was the ideal picture. And if you look at what we've gone on to do, Kai Havertz for 65 million and Rice for 105 million, that is a total of 170 million. However, where the dynamics of this deal changed is when Brighton went, we want at least 90 million, and West Ham also said we want a minimum of 100 million. So that meant that Arsenal would need to spend over 190 million on a midfield duo of Rice and Caicedo. That was never going to happen. So the only way I see Arsenal sign Moises Caicedo in this summer is if Chelsea walk away from the deal, no other big club comes in to sign Moises Caicedo at that hefty price, and Arsenal can scoop in and sign him for around 75 million. Like, that could happen. But when the deal is in the 100s, when the deal is in the 90s, I don't see Arsenal sign Caicedo for that. Right, so we retain interest in Moises Caicedo. We would love to sign him. The feeling around the club is that we are not away. We've not actually called it quits in this deal, but it's one that will take time, and it's one that will need Arsenal to be very, very patient. Now, talking about patience is the Romeo Lavia deal. I've talked about Romeo Lavia quite extensively on this channel. Liverpool and Arsenal both decided to reject the 50 million asking price from Southampton. They're saying if we're going to sign him, it's going to be below that. Southampton are also saying that if you're going to sign the player, it's going to be for a record fee, which is 50 million and above. Now, Romeo Lavia, 50 million. I think Southampton are very right to ask for that amount of money. But the problem is that they're now a championship club. And they're a championship club negotiating with Europa League clubs, negotiating with UEFA Champions League clubs. I think you know where I'm going. Like, I don't see Southampton holding the absolute power and key to this deal like they think. I think they can decide to sell. I think they can decide not to sell. Like, they've got that power. There is no question about that. They can easily go, if you do not want to give us the money we want, we will not sell the player to you, okay? I think they have that power. But when it comes to a championship club trying to sell a player for 50 million to clubs like Liverpool and Arsenal, I don't think they have the power. First and foremost, I don't think Arsenal are desperate about Romeo Lavia. I don't think Liverpool are desperate about Romeo Lavia. Like, Arsenal can do without Romeo Lavia. And Liverpool can do without Romeo Lavia as well. So if Liverpool can go and sign Manu Kone for 30 million euros or Kefren Thuram for around 50 million euros, that is significantly lower than the 50 million pounds Southampton are asking for in Romeo Lavia. So they know he's been in the Premier League, he's played in the Premier League, he's actually proven and he's caught the eye of many top managers. But for me, that is actually not enough for you to slap a 50 million pound asking price on a 19-year-old. Like, I don't think he's already at the levels of Yavis Bissouma when he joined Spurs, Moises Caicedo right now. I don't think he is at that level. For Christ's sake, we signed Thomas Partey at 45.5 million. So you want to tell me that Romeo Lavia has reached that level when we signed Thomas Partey? I don't think he's reached that, and I think his true value is around 40 million euros. Like, to be honest, okay? So Liverpool are saying they will not pay. Arsenal are saying they will not pay as well. We're both reluctant, and we've told Southampton that the asking price is actually very, very much. Now, just like the Moises Caicedo deal, this one is a deal that I can see drag on until the late July, the late August of this window. I don't see it as a deal where parties are really interested in kicking off, in getting things done quicker. And it might be bad business for Southampton. If you have players, and this is what Leicester City have done. There are players in James Maddison, Harvey Barnes, and a couple of others that want to go. So what they've done is they've set a realistic asking price, and these players are leaving the club. They can replace them quicker. They can start their preparations for the championship quicker, and within no time they will be back in the Premier League. I think what Southampton are doing here is wasting time. They will eventually lose Romeo Lavia. They could lose him on the last day of the window. They could lose him. I think they are in between two worlds. A world where they know they need to keep him to stay, to keep their hopes of coming back quicker alive, and a world where they will need some cash, and is one of the most expensive assets they can sell. But then also you've got to feel for Southampton. They might feel that selling him, Romeo Lavia, is not a priority for them because they're going to lose James Ward-Prowse, one of the most iconic players at that club. So it will depend. Lavia, for me, is going to make the switch. He will make the switch from Southampton. I don't know where, but I think he will make the move. Now, Arsenal are looking at a quality, cheaper option. And I thought about this guy, Sofyan Amrabat. So Sofyan Amrabat is a player that everyone is interested in, but no one is interested in. I don't know if that actually makes sense. Like, we've talked about Sofyan Amrabat all this window. Not linked to Arsenal, by the way. Never linked to Arsenal. Not in January, not in this window. But Liverpool want him. Barcelona want him. Bayern want him. West Ham want him. and Al Nassr and Al Hilal want him as well in Saudi Arabia. But if Arsenal are looking for a cheaper option in midfield, in that position, Sofian Amrabat would be such a great shot. Like, come on, from Fiorentina to Arsenal, from Fiorentina to the Premier League, I don't think that is a bad move, and I don't think he's gonna turn that down. Like, to be honest, I don't think he will turn that down. I don't think that is a bad move as well. So I'm interested to see what cheaper options we go with, but Sofian Amrabat is a very interesting one. He's a very interesting shot. Like, literally is one of those players out there that will cost less than 40 million euros, number one. Number two, he's got the experience. Number three, he's young, like around 25, 26. So young in terms of age bracket, but then very experienced and is a player in his prime. So you can play him with Declan Rice. You can also play him alone in that midfield in that midfield pivot, and nothing happens. Okay, so Amrabat is a player Arsenal need to be looking at if Romeo Lavia does not come through. So that is my assessment of the Thomas Partey, Caicedo and Romeo Lavia situation. Let me know your thoughts in the comment box below.